Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of My Waifu and Me. And on today's episode, I'm actually in Arlington, Virginia, which is, and Waifu's here with me, but she has a work thing today. And today I decided, I'm just gonna go on a walk and walk to the local Barnes & Noble. Thought, you know what, why not record, fill you guys in, show you what I'm doing, no waifu until later, but I'm gonna run to maybe 2 comic shops, see if they sell any manga. But as long as I'm in Barnes & Noble, I might as well look at what they have. It's probably going to be just regular, Barnes & Noble stuff. But whatever. We're going to go inside, see what's up. Okay, so I thought I was getting close to the Barnes & Noble. And I, walked up. And there was, construction. So I just, veered left. And now I'm, around the other side. But I have no idea how to get into this store. It was, the entrance was, blocked off with construction. So I thought, they must have entrance on the other side. I don't know. I'm just walking around these residential neighborhood, trying to find out how to get into this Barnes & Noble. We'll see where we end up.
Hello everyone, it's voiceover Jerry here again, and we're going to head inside of this Barnes & Noble. So hopefully you guys are excited. This Barnes & Noble is kind of unique to me because it was kind of tucked away, but I wanted to see if they had anything, the reality of it is that every Barnes & Noble kind of has a little bit of a similar selection, so I had a bit of a tough time actually finding the manga section, and finally, in the back of the store, actually in the media area for a normal Barnes & Noble, I did find the manga section, and as you can see, there was a lot going on here, including a lot of box sets. They had a whole little Junji Ito counter, which was interesting, not really on a shelf. It was just on this counter, but a bunch of his hardcovers. Back in the back here, I saw Doubt Volume 1, which you don't really see inside of a Barnes & Noble very often, and Blackjack Volume 1, which I think stays on reprint, so I don't think that it ever really goes out of print or out of stock for those first 3 volumes of Blackjack. But as you can see, they've covered the media section with manga, which that was interesting. A lot of the Barnes & Nobles that I have back home that aren't in Virginia, they don't put their manga in the media section. They have it out on one of the main shelves. So I thought it was really interesting that they had repurposed this media area to become their manga section. And it kind of works here. And you can even see just how they kind of separated different stacks, different things. But I wanted to kind of get into it and show you some of the series that maybe kind of stuck out to me, or just things I was even thinking about buying at the time, but it was Virginia, I didn't really need to. Thought it was interesting. They had Blam, Master Edition Volume 1. Those are still in print to my understanding, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. But then they had Soul Eater, which was, I think, Volume 8, and I think even Volume 9 is out now, which is crazy. But it was nice that they had this little hardcover section here. It was hardcover oversized stuff, pretty cool. And then, as you can see, even more box sets. Naruto box set 2, Demon Slayer, One Piece box set 4. So if you need these box sets, definitely be on the lookout for them. There was that nasty Death Note all-in-one. Bleach box set 1, My Hero box set 1. They even had the little Bleach special anniversary edition volume 1 sitting there. Naruto box set 3. And then we have Gantz, however you say it. I know everyone's been grabbing these up recently. And then I found something kind of interesting. They had a couple of the Kodansha prints of Air Gear, which I don't really see at Barnes & Noble very often. And I don't know what the print status is on any of these Air Gear volumes. I'd bet that they're mostly deep out of stock or out of print. So it was interesting to just see a couple of them kicking it here. The Kodansha one's definitely easier to get than the Del Rey volumes. Record Ragnarok Volume 4, which I think had just come out at this point. And then they did have Bacano Volumes 1, 2, and 3. I believe it was just a 3-volume series. I think Waifu and I actually already have Volumes 1 and 2, but it's not too hard to find or come by. But it was interesting to see in a Barnes & Noble. And then one of the biggest case closed sections I've seen in my life. Very rarely do I see a bunch of case closed just sitting on the shelf just because it's such a long series. They had a bunch of these Holic omnibuses. I've been trying to get the Del Rey prints. The newest volume of One Punch Man, which is always nice to see. And then I started to deep dive this whole Italy print situation. So found some Naruto volumes that I think were printed in Italy. You can see here, this is a volume 3. And I'll open up the cover here and show you guys. It was indeed printed in Italy. So it didn't look too different or feel too different to me. I know some people have been having some confusion or frustration with the Italy prints. And then I actually also found some My Hero volumes. So the left one was actually printed in the US and the right one was printed in Italy. So you do see it's a smaller size a little bit. So that might cause some issues for some collectors. And then, oh my gosh, this volume was so nice from Yen Press, Josie, and The Tiger and the Fish. I really want to see the film that they did of this, but the book looked great. So I really considered picking this one up. And then, yeah, Summertime Rendering, definitely one of my favorite reads of 2022. If you haven't read it already, you should definitely check it out. It was a wonderful read, 6 volumes for that series. And then, yeah, you never know what you might find in when you're manga shopping. Sherlock Bones. Never heard of this in my life. Sometimes you just find new stuff, Sherlock Bones. I think it's a shonen series. And also a random volume of Summon of the Gods. They made a really great Netflix film, if you haven't seen it already, to check that out. But that kind of wraps up most of what I found here in this Barnes & Noble. I hope you guys kind of enjoyed it. A little different, to me at least, than most Barnes & Nobles that I am used to. So we'll head out now.
All right, so now I'm going to jump in an Uber. There are 2 comic book shops and I think a secondhand bookstore that I want to check out. There's possibility they have 0 manga, which is fine, but I'll still show you some footage when I get over there. But if they do have some manga, then maybe we'll find something that's actually cool. I didn't pick up anything inside of Barnes & Noble, mainly because they just had stuff that they have at the Barnes & Nobles that I have back home, so there really isn't a big reason to grab anything, so that's just the way it is. There were some things that were cool or interesting, but not stuff that I'm collecting and not stuff that I wanted to grab, but I did show some of that cool and interesting stuff while I was inside of Barnes. But let's go over those 2 comic shops in the secondhand bookstore.
Okay, so while I was first in Arlington, Virginia, I'm now actually at Fantom Comics over in Washington, D.C., technically. So the rest of these shops are actually all over in D.C., which was kind of cool. Arlington is right outside of D.C. So, yeah, they had some really interesting designs and works as you walked up the stairs. This was like above a subway, but I found some just unique and cool stuff just kind of chilling on the shelves. But I wanted to see if they had any manga, so I was kind of hunting around. But it was a nice little setup for this little Fantom Comics shop. And I saw they had a little table with a few volumes there. Look Back, Chainsaw Man, Black Paradox, Witch Hat Atelier. Pretty sweet stuff. And then I did find Blue Box Volume 1, which I saw some people are finding some printing issues with this volume. And Elusive Samurai Volume 3, which they're pumping these things out quick. I'm surprised they're already on Volume 3. And then you can see here just some more new releases. They did have a little clearance section, which I thought was interesting. Not sure why Tokyo Tarareba is there. It's a really sweet series. Waifu and I own the whole set, so I'm not sure why it ended up in clearance. And then here's kind of their main manga section. So they did have a section for it, but it was mostly new releases. I didn't really see a lot of old or different stuff. Aka 13 I pointed out because it's a series I've thought about collecting, but Natsumi Ono, who's a very prolific author. And this series, which is a newer series, I really like the look of this. Oh man, definitely a series I could see myself picking up. It has a cool aesthetic, a cool vibe to it. This was interesting. This comic shop did have this Faku volume. I think that it's getting pushed out to major retailers also. I'm not sure. It's kind of a weird line between Faku and other series that are printed, I think, by Dempa. And then next door, they had this little second story books. I was like, what is this? Didn't even have it on my radar, but really nothing to be found in here. Pretty barren. I did see these little comic stand that they had, oh, here's some comic books. I was like, maybe there's some manga on here. So I started kind of digging through this little stand. And much to my surprise, I actually did see out of the corner of my eye a couple manga volumes, which it was just these right here. I think that might even have been a light novel, but this is all they had. But I was like, yeah, cool that I checked it out and stepped out. And right outside, they did have these cool little $4 book cards. But about to head to the next place now.
All right, so I just checked one of the comic book shops, and they did have some manga, nothing other than really like new releases, which is fine. And there was like a secondhand bookstore next door, and that's what I just went in. And yeah, they had it was weird. So now there's like another secondhand bookstore that I was like, I'll walk in. And so I'm going to check that out, and then one more comic shop, and then I think I'm going to be done shopping for the day. All right, so this seems promising. Let's go see if there's any manga in here.
All right, so we're headed in Kramers, which was a cool shop. I actually think it was a first-hand bookstore. I don't think it was actually second-hand, which is what I thought when I was walking up on it. But I think they mainly had primary books. But they did have this kind of cool Miyazaki section with Totoro the novel and a couple other miscellaneous Miyazaki things you could pick up, which I like that. I think Miyazaki's great. But as you can see here, mostly new titles, newer releases as well. You see JJK, Waiting for Spring, Fullmetal Alchemist, Yotsuba, Goodnight Punpun. Just standard reprints. They had a couple miscellaneous volumes you might not see out and about everywhere, but I did feel like most of it was pretty expected. I did see these 2 Kami-sama Kiss volumes. I think this might be reprinting, though. So I'm just not sure about that. I think it might be reprinting, though. Then you can see they had this shelf as well full of manga, which, again, just a lot of... they actually had a pretty variable selection, which surprised me for the type of bookstore this was. It was kind of one of those... It was like a bookstore cafe type thing. Pretty interesting little spot. Definitely could see myself hanging here if I ever came back. And then I wanted to head into this comic shop. I believe it was, Big Planet Comics. So this was a little bit of a walk from where I was just at. So I actually walked over. That's where you saw those dogs that I walked by. And at first I was actually like, okay, this is just another comic shop. Pretty standard releases, new stuff. I saw this volume of Adam. I think this looks really sweet. I'm probably going to pick this up in the future for sure. And then I kind of noticed that they had a few other volumes lingering that kind of looked cool. And I started grabbing a couple of them. Which include this Jiro Taniguchi work I'd never seen before. It was hardcover. Not even sure who the publisher was. As well as this Osamu Tezuka Triton volume. I was like, okay. Some older stuff. Tropic of the Sea by Satoshi Kon. A vertical print. I was like, okay. And then I saw this Troublemaker. Again, looks older. Looks a little more retro. But I stumbled upon these Moto Hagio works. And Moto Hagio is considered a very prolific mangaka. But these are in these large, nice, oversized hardcovers. And honestly, just gorgeous books. And I was taken aback. I've never read Otherworld Barbara or The Poe Clan. But man, the books just looked so beautiful. If I was not traveling back to my home after this, I probably would have grabbed these. I do know some of them are still available online, so I hope to maybe pick them up in the future. Because these were just such gorgeous books. I'm so happy I ran into them at this shop at Big Planet Comics. Because now they're on my radar. I definitely want to maybe pick them up in the future because they sound really awesome. And just that's pretty much it for Big Planet Comics. Alright, so I am back home after my little adventure back home. I'm in the hotel room in Arlington, Virginia. I went on my little adventure. Most of those shops I actually hit were actually more over in Washington, D.C., which is what we're here for this weekend. So we are going to go to some other places throughout the weekend, kind of enjoy everything. But as you can see, Waifu is busy all day today. We're not going to have any time until really... Not even really tomorrow, but the day after that. Then we're going to be able to actually have some time to enjoy an adventure. So the only thing that I actually got while I was out was not manga. It was a Funko Soda figure that I found at Barnes & Noble. It's the only thing I picked up. So even though I saw a lot of cool manga, none of it jumped out at me. Nothing was like a must-have. Nothing that I couldn't get later or pick up at another place or pick up online. And that was kind of the main reason why I just kind of left it. So there was some cool stuff though, so I hope you guys enjoyed kind of seeing just those random little shops that I found in the area around my hotel. So that's all I really have for you guys today. Here's a little figure that I picked up while I was out today. It's Arwen from Lord of the Rings. Pretty sweet. It's a Funko product, Funko Soda. Pretty cool because there's only 8,400, which is pretty sweet. So that's what I picked up. Now I did bring some manga with me, which is mainly just Spy Family Volume 6, 7, 8. These are the only 3 that I haven't read that are released. So I'm going to try to read these while we're on our trip. And so I'm going to sit down. I'm actually going to read Volume 6 right now. So I'm really excited to get into this volume now that the night's over. Like, comment, subscribe. This is My Waifu and Me, and we're saying peace.